What's going on, everyone? Slovash here, bringing you another gameplay of Marvel Heroes 2016. I wanted to make a follow-up video for anyone who watched my test center build with Black Cat, and my thoughts on her now that it is patched and on the live servers, and how I think she's doing. I've just made a build pretty quickly. I like it a lot, actually. Just beat the Cosmic Trials fairly easy with her. I have some higher end gear on her, but it's just all hand-me-downs since she's a physical hero, and I have a lot of higher end physical heroes. I just transferred all the gear over. I just wanted to say that the Cosmic Trial was a breeze with her because of this 9 lives mechanic that she has. Now that it doesn't count as a death, you literally have like 9 times the chance to beat anyone without even having to worry about, med kitting and whatnot. But this 9 lives mechanic mixed in with a core that has invulnerability and regen, like if you can get a bifecta core or whatever you want to call it, a invuln and 25% of your health and 100 spirit when you use a med kit kind of core, I think she's invincible. I mean, it's literally ridiculous. Every time I thought I was even close to dying, I could go into like my signature and then use a med kit and just, be invulnerable while I'm healing back to full health. It was pretty nuts. Anyways, guys, this is going to be my build for end game content, and then afterwards I'm going to show you her in some Cosmic Midtown. I also wanted to tell you guys that I'm playing on a new computer, higher end graphics, so if it looks a little higher def than before, that's because it is. This is max settings on the graphics, I believe. Let me show you real quick. Everything should be high, and yeah, everything's set to high, which is awesome. So I'm going to bring you this in 1080p, 60 frames per second, if I could fucking talk. Anyways, guys, this is my build for Black Cat. I want to go through her skills, how I put points into them, and why I put points into them. So this is kind of like a stealthy kind of jack of all trades kind of build, but it mainly focuses on her thievery tree because that's where I think a lot of her beef is, like a lot of her good stuff is in the thievery tree. So I've focused mainly on this. Now I haven't optimized my gear to make sure that I'm hitting 50 and everything, and I'm sure there's some uniques that could get swapped out, but I'm just running all of her own uniques and all level 69 gear, shit like that. So let's just jump right into it, guys. Under clip, claws, and whips, the 2 skills that I'm using are faux fillet and deep cuts, and obviously you can see the synergy between the 2 of these. I have faux fillet on my left click, and that's just to hit guys lots of times, so it's good for single target. It also adds 15% damage to all claw powers, and since this is my main spirit spender's deep cuts, I just run around with this like held down on right click, and this does decent damage, but it also gets 30% crit hit chance because of faux fillet being on cooldown. So this has an 8-second cooldown. So my left click's faux fillet, my right click is deep cuts. Deep cuts is it's going to hit a lot harder when you're critting 1/3 of the time. So this is what I'm running while this is on cooldown. So that's my left and right clicks right there, and you can see the synergy between the claw moves themselves. I think these just recently got moved around in her most recent patch. I think Land on Your Feet was like over here somewhere, and this was like a level 1 skill. So once you get up to the higher levels, you'll have these 2 skills, and these are pretty good.
Pirate Deadpool over here.
Let me get him out of here so he's not talking. Moving on to the traps tree. The only trap that I've now elected to use, since some of the other traps just kind of contradict spamming them, and a trap build for some reason or another is not a viable build, I don't think. I know they kind of made the taser trap and the other traps have different cooldowns, but still, I haven't enjoyed it that much. So gas trap is the trap that I would recommend running, just because it's a damage over time layer and you can drop it, and since it's the only trap move that you're using, you usually always have it, meaning that the recharge rate on it is always going to outweigh how much you're actually using it in the cycle of moves you're using or the rotation that you're using. It will always be available. So it's really nice. I like to use this to spread out some damage over time if I'm like in a really heavily populated area like Midtown and I want to spread dot layers all over the place. I'll throw the gas trap around, and sometimes I'll be a little low on charges, but it's not that big of a deal of the build. It's just one more layer of damage to apply over top of your claw moves. So just really maximizing the damage here. I also have 1 point into her grappling line swing. This is just a sweet graphic, and it's a free movement speed or free movement skill. So I have that on my second bar as the right click. So I'll just press 2 and then use the right click to go wherever I want to go. It's a pretty legit move. Catsuit I have as my point dump, and by point dump I mean after I built everything else, any additional points are going to go into Catsuit, just because this will get leveled up through gear and a bunch of other stuff. This was a 1 point until I finished out my build and figured out where I wanted to go with it, and then any other leftover points from extra skill quests or anything like that are going to dump into here and then level this up to a lot higher levels. So right now I have it at level 7, and that's only because that's how many skill points I had left over after building everything else. So this is her passive for damage reduction, deflect, max spirit, max health, and then also you get a chance to restore spirit when you critically or brutally strike, which you're going to be doing a lot with deep cuts. So this helps with, and the reason that is down there on the bottom is because of specialization, which I chose, which is basically what this build is built around, is that fortune and favor specialization. So once your crit is up high with this move, and this gives you spirit back, it helps with spirit management a lot. So that's why that's there. So again, just hold off on dumping points into this until you have the rest of the build rounded out. And Thievery, this is the last tree, and this is where I think it's at for Black Cat. She's the master thief, so this makes sense. I have 20 points into Put 'em Down. This is basically a stealth usable, it's another damage over time layer, but in the form of a bleed. So basically you'll do your rolling move a lot, her quick getaway move, which is also in Thievery. This basically makes her stealthed, and then these moves will activate afterwards. Once you activate these moves within 4 seconds of being stealth, this will just do a little AoE like whip type move around her. So anyone within that range of the whip will get a bleed layer over top of any other damage over time moves you're using, like the gas trap. And this is a very strong bleed. Might be one of the strongest bleeds she has, actually, because of it being only usable in stealth, and it's got a cooldown. So this is a really strong move. The bleed you want to apply to the people you have, in my build at least, because I have a lot of skills that, or I guess artifacts and uniques that build off of bleed mechanics. So you want to apply the bleed to whoever you're fighting, and then you'll get some extra damage from the artifacts and whatnot. So Put 'em Down is my AoE bleed dot layer. So you're just doing this once, and then you're moving on with the claws, just like the gas trap. So you do gas trap, roll in, do a bleed whip move to apply that second layer of dot damage, and then you just go to town on them with these claw moves. So that's pretty much the rotation there. But going back to the skill trees themselves, I also have 20 points into Bad Luck. This is an amazing passive, especially with the specialization of Fortune and Favor, which we'll get to. But you get tons of crit hit rating, crit damage, brute strike rating, granted by this Fortune and Favor. It's I don't know why, it's a typo. I think it says granted by Bad Luck, but this move is Bad Luck, so I think they meant to say granted by Fortune Favor. But anyways, and this also is your accuracy, crit hit rating, crit damage rating buff over here in the corner. So whenever this is toggled on, you'll have the ability to knock people down every 1 point or every 6 seconds. They'll just fall over. So helps with damage mitigation too. But this will literally always be on. I don't know why it's a toggle. It should just be a passive. Literally, if you're not running this on Black Cat, you're retarded. Sorry. Next skill, I have 20 points into Catnap. This is her finisher move. This is also another stealthed usable move. So you're basically rolling around with the quick getaway move. And you'll be rolling a lot when you're in this combat, especially in this build that I have, because you want to proc a lot of things off of that stealth move, like these two moves here. This is a very quick hitting, like cone of damage type move, and it also has the execute mechanic. It hits twice, which I believe means you get twice the execution damage, which is really nice. So if a guy gets low on health, this is a great way to finish him off. So I'll just go down the line with the finishers just like this. So I have my bar set up real easy, where it's just, you know, my left click, my right click, but then I'm rolling in, gas trapping, applying the bleed, and then I'll do the finisher just for extra damage. Usually if I roll that rotation another time, they're dead. My signature move that I have 20 points in is the Cat's Meow. This recently was fixed. Before it was kind of messed up on what it said and what it actually did. So I think they made the mechanics work on this correctly. So this does invulnerability, and it also does a big area of effect, kind of like explosion. It's pretty quick. This one move feels like it ties you up for a while. This one, you just go up, you drop all your grenades, you come back down, and it does a good amount of damage. Now it actually gets 20% more damage from this Fortune and Favor specialization, and then it also resets the cooldown to Master Thief, which is really cool. And I don't think that mechanic worked until this last patch, so now that it is working, you can run Master Thief a lot more. And now for the final skill, which is Master Thief. This is my favorite move about her, because I'm using her as kind of like an item finder for endgame shit. You can obviously see the passive effects are great for finding credits and rare items and special items and stuff like that. That's awesome, and it really plays part to her actual character and how she works. Okay, and then the active effects. So like once you activate this, it's a little steroid buff where you get extra damage, you restore spirit per second, you become invisible, you stun anyone that's hit in the area of it. But my favorite thing is that 10% chance on melee hit to steal a valuable item. I just sold all my little valuable items. I think I could run up here and show you what they look like. But for anyone that's played Black Cat, you know what I'm talking about. And they come in different grades. But basically, you just sell them for more credits. So it really helps you get to that 999 million credit limit. And the last thing with the Master Thief is that your different specializations, and I'm running Fortune and Favor. This basically gives Bad Luck that extra brute strike rating, 50% more. It breaks apart the cooldown, because normally Catnap and Put 'em Down have a shared cooldown, but when you're running Fortune and Favor, the cooldowns on these don't apply to each other any longer, so you can run them both in rotation, which is what we're doing. 20 more damage to Cat's Meow, and then my favorite, I guess, tip or tool tip of this thing is the Master Thief's chance to steal a valuable item is increased by 100%. So that basically means every time you hit someone with a melee move, I believe that means it's 20% chance that they're going to drop something valuable. So as you're hitting them very fast with these 6 melee hits and just constantly slashing them with deep cuts, and this is active, you're getting tons of damage, and you're also getting the little goodies that drop from them. So if you're making a credit farmer, this is a great way to build her out. For the Omegas, I just did basically anything that had to do with physical damage. I don't have max Megas yet, so I skipped out on some of the things that I probably should have put points into, like Warpath and maybe Sabretooth, things like that. But I just had the cheapo kind of, cheapo kind of build for just upping her damage a lot and getting her crit and brute rating up. So I believe that was all of them. And then my hero synergies, I got Ant-Man, Black Cat herself, because she has damage versus bleeding and rare/special item. I have Black Widow on because if you're rolling in your stealth, people aren't going to be targeting you, so you get an extra 4% damage there from her. I probably should be rocking Cable. Maybe I'll take someone off and do that, but I was kind of just going with the theme of like in-game credit farming and shit like that. So I have like Deadpool on here because he's got that rare and special item find as well, so I'm just boosting that as high as I can. Moon Knight, he's ridiculous for a physical person. Nightcrawler for melee damage. Squirrel Girl for bosses. And I got Wolverine for brute strike chance and brute damage. That's pretty much all of them. If I were to switch one, it might actually be Black Widow for Cable. I mean, it seems like a pretty good idea, but you'll really just have to go into your stats and see what your crit hit chance are. So if it's low, then obviously you can make that switch. Okay, now for her gear, basically I'm running all of her own uniques. A Gungnir just for right now. I probably, once I decide I want to play her, I usually don't go for a level 80 legendary unless I know that I'm gonna in-game content with people, so I won't spend 1,000 shard or Odin marks on them until I know for sure that I want to do that. So right now I'm just running the Gungnir, which really helps with crit hit rating, so I might not run Cable now that I'm looking at it, but we'll take a look. I'm running Midtown Guardian Signet just because you'll be rolling a lot with her to kind of reposition and also get your stealth going for these two moves. So whenever you're rolling a ton and you're constantly putting that into your rotation like she will be in this build, a really high Midtown momentum buff is an amazing thing. I only have a 17 on her, but I think it goes all the way up to 30, so this is a really low roll for her. But it also gives you 1 to all melee powers, which is like almost everything in her kit, and then 1 to movement powers, which is, you know, who the fuck cares. But so that's the ring. Just using her own uniques. I got these all to item grade 69 with the crafter. Just any pet you got. Her signet, I'm using the insignia dupe just to follow along the theme of item finding. I also found one with attack speed and melee rating, which is good for her because the faster you attack, the more items and credits you can steal. At least that was my philosophy. Now, as I was saying in the beginning of this video, the Black Cat mechanic here of the 9 lives, where basically now if you get one of these removed after you go to 0 health and it drops down, you spike back up to 9% of your max health, and it doesn't count as a death. You mix that in with an armor that gives invulnerability, or like a 3 to 10 core or whatever you want to call them, it gets nutty how survivable she is for in-game content. I mean, between you just being able to react and put a shield around yourself and let the like auto healing kind of take care of itself, and the 9 lives mechanic, I mean, it's pretty insane how durable she is now that doesn't count as a death. So I would definitely recommend getting a core with invulnerability at least on Black Cat, because that mixed in with 9 lives is just going to be absolutely insane. So moving on to the artifacts, I have a Blessed Metasensory Array. Right now I'm using a Sabertooth Medallion just for the bleed rating. You could switch this out for like Curse or Bullseye or Grim Reaper, whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be this. I mean, even Red Skull would probably be pretty good. So Furry Mane, if you have one. I know a lot of people don't. I found this like the day that these released in the game, and I've just been rolling it over to whoever I'm playing with because these things are hard as fuck to come by. So if you can get a Furry Mane, put it in there just because of the bleed status, damage rating. Hand of Doom, those are pretty easy to come by. Gem of the Curse, just for extra damage layer. I'm running God of Mischief, Defensive Uru, just all around. If you don't know what to put in a slot, which I didn't, this is just a great choice just because of everything that it brings you. Doing melee power relics, so relics of Asgard, and that's the build pretty much. If I were to look at what her stats are now for crit hit rating, you can see it's well over 50%. I'm going to actually change that passive back from Cable. Okay, it looks like I didn't actually do it, so holy shit, I have 54% chance to crit without even Cable synergy being on, so I'm pretty happy with that. That means I'm going to be critting a lot of the time, which really helps with damage. And every time you crit, you have whatever your brute chance is to do that. So I have a 60% chance to brute. That's fucking nuts. She does some nasty damage for real. So that's the build, guys. I'm going to roll over to Cosmic Midtown. I just literally beat the trial with her first shot. No problems at all. So let me adjust these down so you can hear me a little bit over top of all the craziness that happens in Midtown. Got nice and quiet there. Okay, so we'll go to Cosmic Midtown Patrol. Let's kill a couple boss waves and then show you guys how the rotation works. I like the fact that you can move and no one's attacking you. So you lead off with the gas trap, roll into them, and you're going to be doing the whip that adds the bleed. And then from there you can just left click, right click, hold it down. Her special recharges real fast too, so make sure you're just repositioning, keeping that Midtown Signet buff on. But basically I just target lock with like the right click, and you just roll around and drop bombs and do your whip, and it literally fucking slaughters people. It's insane. And this is exactly where I want to be for endgame shit. I mean, you just saw I, off of one boss wave, got I don't know how many uniques and how many Omega Orbs. Advanced reactive pulsar. Oh damn it, that dude stole that. See, I wanted that thing. Anyways, so we're just going to continue moving around. You can use your actual grappling hook if you want. You're likely to take damage though if you're using this. So her roll is actually really good now. They sped this up a lot, and it goes to wherever your cursor is. So if you want to go slow or really far, it jumps far distances too. So looks like we got two bosses here. Let's go ahead and try and steal some shit from them. Just keep an eye on where enemies are attacking with her. She isn't, easy to kill because of the 9 lives mechanic, but if you're not looking at that mechanic, which I often don't, you'll be out of them. Oh, Hand of Nimrod. Let's see. What's going on here? Who's the real one? That's what you gotta figure out when you're fighting these dudes. Ooh, this is where that life core comes in. So I'm gonna probably tank a life, but it's Black Cat, and no one gives a shit. Oh, hit the M button. Hit it again. There we go. Just want to hit my core. This dude sucks for real though. I never liked playing the Deceiver guy. He hits like a truck. Okay, so I still don't have the real one. It'd be fucking fantastic if he just died though, for real. Here we go. Okay, so you can see right there that I probably would have died 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. But instead, in-game content, that's probably one of the hardest bosses in Midtown, especially Cosmic. That Deceiver guy. I don't know why, but his little hops just hit like a freight train, and he has so much life, and you don't know if you're attacking the right guy. I'm actually pretty impressed with how well she just did against that. That's normally the person that sends you back to camp, and you have to run your ass all the way back out here. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm getting out of this build right now. Black Cat seems to be in a pretty good spot now. So just doing the rotation, man. Even if I'm overlaying layers, I don't really care that much. I've never been one of those people that tries to perfect my rotation to the point of where I'm counting. I know Wilfred Wrong does that very well. I don't have the brain capacity to not just go down the line on my skills. That's how I function. So hats off to the people that can do that. It's not my style. I'd rather just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever you want to, say. Holy shit. So right here, this is where I would just apply different traps everywhere. Coming with the whip. Ooh, taking some fucking heat there, fellas. Now what's real cool about her is that her ultimate regenerates like all of your lives. So if you're in here and you just pop the ult, it gives you all of your lives back. So it's really cool for in-game shit too. I would avoid letting them drain that fast, but if they do, just either level up her ultimate or whatever, and you can pretty much get them back every 9 minutes or so. Plus they recharge every 60 seconds, so you should really have like damn near infinite lives with her. I was being extremely careless, and you could obviously build her to be more defensive if you want. I went like pure DPS, like glass cannon kind of thing, and I'm still having an amazingly easy time staying alive. I say this and I just fucking died, of course, But yeah, guys, this is the build. I'm doing in-game shit with her, fairly easy. I know some of the stuff I have is a little higher end, but there's obviously lower end grade replacements for all of that. So make sure that you're giving her a good crack before you put her on the shelf. And hopefully you guys are getting out there and getting your credit cap. I think she's a great character to do it with, to be really honest. Finish up killing my own clone here. So much low-key illusion going on right now. It's kind of annoying. Let me see if I can't show you guys what it looks like when you get the little stuff that she picks up off of people. Alright, let me grab all these quick. What was that up there? Oh, just poofed. Literally just fucking poofed right in front of me. Okay, let's see. There they are. There's one, there's one, there's one. These are what you pick off of people when you use the Master Thief move. Literally just anytime you're hitting someone with a melee, which her two main spenders are melee only. So we're always picking people's pockets. So we're getting 500 credits a pop for these, 1,200 credits a pop for those, 10,000 credits a pop for these. So you can take these right up here to Homeboy and sell them and get that much closer to that max cap. Alright guys, that was Black Cat. I hope you enjoyed her. I hope you enjoy my videos. If you did, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you feel like it. Tell your friends. Tell anyone. Tell your mama.